When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Life is too short for long-term grudges. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. If something's important enough, you should try. Even if the probable outcome is failure. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I would like to die on Mars. Just not on impact. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. I think you should always bear in mind that entropy is not on your side. Great companies are built on great products. I always invest my own money in the companies that I create. I don't believe in the whole thing of just using other people's money. I don't think that's right. I'm not going to ask other people to invest in something if I am not prepared to do so myself. I think there should be regulations on social media to the degree that it negatively affects the public good. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. We're running the most dangerous experiment in history right now, which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. It's very important to like the people you work with. Otherwise, your job is going to be quite miserable. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. I will never be happy without having someone. Going to sleep alone kills me. When I was in college, I wanted to be involved in things that would change the world. Rockets are cool. There's no getting around that. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. I think life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. Starting a business is not for everyone. Starting a business, I'd say, number one is have a high pain threshold. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. If humanity doesn't land on Mars in my lifetime, I would be very disappointed. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. The value of beauty and inspiration is very much underrated, no question. But I want to be clear, I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad. To make an embarrassing admission, I like video games. That's what got me into software engineering when I was a kid. I wanted to make money so I could buy a better computer to play better video games, nothing like saving the world. In order to have your voice be heard in Washington, you have to make some little contribution. If I'm not in love, if I'm not with a long-term companion, I cannot be happy. Tesla is here to stay and keep fighting for the electric car revolution. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. We can't have, like, willy-nilly proliferation of fake news. That's crazy. You can't have more types of fake news than real news. That's allowing public deception to go unchecked. That's crazy. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. The problem is that in a lot of big companies, process becomes a substitute for thinking. You're encouraged to behave like a little gear in a complex machine. Frankly, it allows you to keep people who aren't that smart, who aren't that creative. We're already cyborgs. Your phone and your computer are extensions of you, but the interface is through finger movements or speech, which are very slow. A company is a group organized to create a product or service, and it is only as good as its people and how excited they are about creating. I do want to recognize a ton of super talented people. I just happen to be the face of the companies. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. Self-driving cars are the natural extension of active safety and obviously something we should do. There's a silly notion that failure is not an option at NASA. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. When I was a child, there's one thing I said: I never want to be alone. That's what I would say. I don't want to be alone. The path to the CEO's office should not be through the CFO's office, and it should not be through the marketing department. It needs to be through engineering and design. I do love email. Wherever possible, I try to communicate asynchronously. I'm really good at email. You could warm Mars up, over time, with greenhouse gases. If you don't have sustainable energy, you have unsustainable energy. The fundamental value of a company like Tesla is the degree to which it accelerates the advent of sustainable energy faster than it would otherwise occur. I think we are at the dawn of a new era in commercial space exploration. The United States is definitely ahead in culture of innovation. If someone wants to accomplish great things, there is no better place than the U.S. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better.